A federal judge tried to silence a congresswoman. What happened next shook the courtroom and the Constitution itself in a quiet federal courtroom. The air itself seemed to tense. The gavel fell sharp, final. Congresswoman Crockett, Judge Beryl Howell declared, "You will not turn my courtroom into a political theater." Silence followed. The kind that makes a room feel smaller. The kind that tells you something important is about to happen. Jasmine Crockett did not move. She did not flinch. Standing firm, eyes locked on the bench, she answered calmly, clearly, "Your Honor, with all due respect, the Constitution does not end at your bench." That single sentence shifted the room. This was not just a disagreement between a judge and a lawmaker. It was a collision between institutional authority and a generation unwilling to stay quiet. The Washington federal courthouse had seen history before, but this day felt different. The gallery was packed. Reporters lined the back rows. Civil rights advocates leaned forward. Law students clutched notebooks, sensing a moment they'd one day teach. Presiding was Judge Howell, experienced, strict, known for shutting down anything she saw as grandstanding. Order was her domain. Opposite her stood Crockett, a Texas congresswoman, civil rights attorney, shaped by real courtrooms and real injustice. She wasn't there to perform. She was there to fight. The case centered on new election laws, limits on early voting, tighter ID rules, restrictions critics called voter suppression. To the court, it was statutory interpretation. To Crockett, it was democracy itself. "These laws don't strengthen our system," she said. "They strangle it." The judge interrupted. Then interrupted again. "This is a courtroom, not a political speech." But Crockett pressed on, citing precedent, the 14th Amendment, the Voting Rights Act, law, history, evidence. Then, the gavel slammed. "Enough. I will not allow this courtroom to become political theater." The silence was electric, and that's when Crockett delivered the line that would echo far beyond those walls. "The Constitution does not end at your bench." Gasps rippled through the gallery. Reporters froze. Phones lit up. When warned of contempt, Crockett didn't retreat. She named cases: Brown v. Board, Reynolds v. Sims, reminding the court that civil rights are not politics. "They are constitutional bedrock. When you dismiss equal protection," she said, "you don't defend the law. You weaken it." Then came the final blow. "Article I created the branch I serve in. The people gave this judiciary its authority. And that authority does not place you above the Constitution. It binds you to it." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the story exploded across social media. Newsrooms, classrooms. Civil rights groups praised her. Legal scholars called it a masterclass in advocacy. This wasn't just a courtroom clash. It was a reminder of who the Constitution belongs to, and the courage it takes to defend it. But the consequences of that day were only beginning to unfold. When Judge Howell abruptly declared a recess and left the bench, the spell was broken. The courtroom erupted. Reporters rushed into hallways, phones buzzing. Civil rights attorneys whispered in disbelief. Law students clutched their notes, knowing they had witnessed something no textbook could ever teach. What happened in that room would not stay there. Its impact would ripple far beyond marble walls. For Judge Howell, the fallout was swift. Within days, hundreds of complaints were filed, and her once solid reputation cracked under accusations of overreach and impatience. Though no formal punishment followed, the scrutiny alone shook the authority of the robe. Quietly, judges across the country took note. The message was clear: authority without restraint invites reckoning. For Jasmine Crockett, the moment became a turning point. She returned to Congress emboldened, her voice sharper, her presence undeniable. Clips of her words spread across the nation. Law schools requested her. Activists rallied behind her. Ordinary Americans saw in her not defiance for its own sake, but courage grounded in principle. Her line, "The Constitution does not end at your bench," became a rallying cry. Civil rights organizations seized the moment. Donations surged. Volunteers mobilized. Classrooms dissected the confrontation as a case study in democratic defense. What began as a courtroom clash evolved into a national conversation about voting rights, judicial power, and constitutional responsibility. People who had long tuned out politics leaned back in, reminded that civics is not abstract, it is lived. At its core, this was more than Crockett versus Howell. It was procedure versus principle. Order versus justice. A reminder that democracy is not self-executing. It survives only when people are willing to speak, even when silence is demanded. The world watched America wrestle with its ideals, openly and imperfectly, and saw democracy alive, not broken. History is not shaped only by verdicts. It is shaped by moments that force a nation to pause and reflect. That day left America with a question that still lingers: when power oversteps, who will speak? Jasmine Crockett did. And in doing so, she reminded us of a timeless truth: the Constitution does not belong to courts. gavels, or marble halls. It belongs to the people and only endures if they are willing to defend it.